Hey guys, I've had a couple of people ask me to show them how I edit my photos, and so I thought I'd put this video together and show you what I do. So obviously all my images are shot in RAW, which obviously it lets you edit them more. It holds back more detail so that you can pull it back later in processing, rather than a JPEG which compresses it all. So yeah, we'll start with this. This was at Carfest a couple of years ago. So looking at my settings up there, I could have done with, like, if I was to do this differently now, I'd bring the ISO down, and the F number doesn't need to be all the way up to 18. I'd probably shoot it at F7, F8, something like that. But yeah, anyway, right, I'll show you how I start editing them. So the exposure, looking at this histogram up here, the exposure doesn't look too bad. If all these peaks are towards the right hand side, it means the image is too bright, it's overexposed. So yeah, I think I'll leave that as it is and come back to it later if need be. So the first thing I normally do is bring down the highlights, which it does help bring out details in the sky, and it also helps pull back some of the details on the car. So if I put the highlights all the way up, it looks like over the top too white, and then if you bring it down, but obviously it affects the brightness as well. So you tend to, I mean, a lot of people when they're editing, they get the sliders, and a lot of people, they go one way, obviously see it's too much, then bring it down and just settle for somewhere in the middle. So that's probably a little bit too much. We'll go with that, that looks okay. And then shadows, if you put that up, it'll bring back some of the details out of the shadows. I think we'll leave that one about there. For the white, I'm on a PC, so I press Alt and then move this slider around. So if you move it up until you start seeing white bits coming up, there we go. That makes sure that the whites aren't overexposed, and then we do the same with the black as well. So if I go all the way down, obviously that's too much, the blacks are too strong. So if you hold the Alt and do it until you just can't see the black dots, there we go. So that's about right for that one. And then I always bump up the clarity. Sometimes I play about with the dehaze, but I think it works in this case. But some images it doesn't work too well, so bump that up a little bit. Saturation, got to be careful with saturation on here, because there's quite a lot of like these hay bales. So if you turn it up, it obviously brings back way too much colour, but I'll show you what I normally do for that later on. Okay, so curve, I probably should get into that more. I see a lot of big photographers using that, but I tend to leave it alone for now. But I know a lot of people say it makes or breaks a photo. So let's sharpening, bump that up a little bit, it doesn't need to go too much. Optics, that's quite handy if you've got a really wide angle lens. You can use the profile corrections and pick your lens, and it'll stop it looking so distorted. But I think this one, I shot it at 43mm on a crop sensor, so it should be okay. Effects, I think we'll leave that for now. So if I open this, and then what I normally do here is do like a saturation mask. So because there's quite a lot of colours going on, so if I bring the saturation down, I don't go too much because the bales will start looking like a grey colour. So if I bring it down a little bit, and then make sure that these two boxes are black here, and pick the eraser tool that then lets you bring back the colour out of the car. So there's so many different things that you can do. I mean, sometimes if the car's stationary as well, well, I can try it here and see how it looks, but I also make the tarmac a little bit darker so the car pops on it. Let's see what it looks like. If I go back into camera raw, make sure the right layer is selected. So it's either that or you can do a graduated filter, and then you can almost drag it up and it draws your eye towards the car. I think that works quite well, actually. I think there's enough going on in the sky, so I'll leave that, but we'll do the bottom one. But you can do it by brush as well, by the adjustment brush. So if I make that, probably a little bit too dark that, but we can bring it down. So if we go back to the exposure, you can then just edit that one brush that you've just done. So I think that was probably about before. But again, I always think with photography, it's you don't want to go to, I mean, some people will probably go down there and think it looks great, but I don't like my edits too over the top. I try and keep them looking as real as possible if I can. Yeah, so to see how the car pops a little bit more on top of there now. So to be honest, I don't think I'll do much more with this photo because it's a car show. I can't really clone all those people out, so you just have to accept it was a busy event, and so it adds to the atmosphere as well. But then if it's going on Instagram, I'd obviously crop it down 4x5. Pop it somewhere there. Filter, sharpen, just sharpen the edges. Now I'll probably leave it like that, to be honest. Yeah, I don't think I'll do much more with this photo, to be honest. Just had a couple of people ask me how I edit my photos, so I thought I'd show you guys how I do it. The other thing is I'm not quite sure how the channel's going to go yet. I don't know. You've probably seen on my Instagram a lot of the times I do like mountain bike and stuff, and then I do car photography as well. So I don't know if to mix it both on YouTube or just keep it just for the one thing. But I say, if you let me know in the comments. All right, I'll leave it there. Thanks, guys.